within 6 months of learning TM, I had stopped smoking, and I never actually quit. I never said to myself, you should stop smoking. I just grew to hate them. And I became, you know, even within 6 months, your nervous system becomes so refined that you just realize that these things are absolutely no good for you. And I used to love cigarettes, and then I ended up hating them. So there was no struggle to give them up. There was nothing. I just meditated twice a day. And I remember the teacher that told me at the time said, forget about your smoking, forget about your drinking, just do your TM twice a day. And then, you know, as was said in that video there by Keith Wallace, when we get in tune with that inner field of nature, that inner field of creativity, then we just spontaneously begin to do the right things. I'm not taking away from anything you said there. I'm just adding on to it that I found personally that, and I've taught TM to lots and lots of people who quit smoking as a result of doing that as well. I found TM a really, really good way to quit smoking. Now, it could be a different meditation technique as well. It just happens that TM was the one that I used. So I would advise that as well as everything that Dr. Brennan said there.
That's interesting, because the scientific research shows that for addiction, and these are serious addictions as well, that, you know, a very, very significant proportion of people who are addicted get off their addictions. And I'm talking alcohol, I'm talking drugs as well when they start TM, but it doesn't happen immediately.
No.
What happens is if you go back 2 years later and check, that something like 60-70% will have stopped from major addiction. So, I mean, that's very significant. And the other thing that I was thinking is Dr. Triguna, who used to travel the world and who has worked with Maharishi to revive Ayurveda, he just also mentioned have a combination of cloves, cardamom, and fennel in your pocket, and every time you get an urge for a cigarette, chew that, because you have this habit of comfort and just something that gives you that kick, clears the ama that is confusing your thinking, that you want something that is addictive, something that is not good for you. So it might be a useful aid, but the real issue is get motivated and stop.
Yeah, and the stopping smoking is the best thing you'll ever do, because it's just a waste of money, it's a waste of your health, it's a waste of life. People know that anyway, but just you need really strong resolve. But I would recommend the meditation technique. Well, for me, it was transcendental meditation, but there are many different techniques that, you know, that may help you as well, you know.
And the Galaxy tab mentioned, you know, lung fibrosis. You know, if the person with Galaxy tab could talk to you, they'd probably tell you that lung conditions are no joke. And it's a sneaky thing that catches up, more and more lung destroyed until you're starting to run out of lung. And then it's just not nice. But for the lungs, black pepper is a good spice at home. And there's a trick or two. There's a little spice too. You could take half a teaspoonful mixed with honey after a meal twice a day. Would be a nice little lung tonic.
And basil.
And basil, yeah, lovely basil. And then which pranayama, that as somebody pointed out, this alternative breathing one is, you know, is good for everybody. But pranayamas are good for the lungs. But if you're doing any more powerful ones, you're better having advice from a yoga pranayama teacher, someone like Raj.
Thank you.
Someone said, smoking killed my husband, small cell lung cancer, a terrible death. So that's from Mary Teresa Laundries. So maybe I pronounced that wrong, but anyway, so there you are. There you are. So that other person that was, you know, get all your motivation, get motivated from what we've said to you tonight. If there's anyone else in this call that's smoking, you know, don't think you can't do it. You're a human being. You have that infinite field of consciousness inside of you. Tobacco is a weed. It's just a plant. And to think that you can't outwit a plant is just crazy. The only reason you can't outwit a plant is because you're not living. You're living a single tiny percentage of your potentiality. So wake up to your potentiality, and little plants and things like that are not going to be able to stop you in your evolution in life, you know.
Raj, you had a question to answer there, hadn't you?
Yeah, I'm just looking at them. I just start from the beginning. Still, there are lots of on the jaggery, so I'm gonna take that. The dark one is better. Somebody asked, is dark jaggery better or brown? Darker is always more nutrition in it, and it's less clarified, like less refined. So that one. And somebody was asking the mocha fruit. That's okay. Yeah, that's another alternative. Or coconut sugar is fine as well. That's coming up in the supermarket. Again, in moderation, they're all sugar. But if you're looking for a healthy version, like a less addictive, because the white sugar is very addictive as well. So these alternative plant-based, like dates, even raisins, apricots, or stevia, even somebody mentioned. So these are more plant-based and they're less addictive to your system. So that's on the sugar. And for the, I just here while I'm, so what you can do for the dry eyes, another question, the ghee massage. So if you can splash kind of a lukewarm or cold water on the eyes, you can use chamomile tea bags, or you can use the ghee massage before you go to the bed and clean it with a face cloth, like a damp face cloth. And ghee is wonderful because it's rich of vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K, so that's good for dry eyes. And then oil into your nostrils, because everything is connected through your sinuses. So oil drops.
Yeah,
Okay.
people aren't aware that the eye drains its tears down into the back of the nose, and therefore the oil being oozy can get back in that direction too.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And cut down the screen times and phone times and all of that.
a very interesting question, Anne Keane. Her husband has high ferritin, high iron levels, but fortunately, thank God, not hemochromatosis. Well, and the thing is, he has to move towards plant-based diet because iron in animals is heme iron, like hemoglobin. It's like heme. It's in that form, and the body has no way of blocking the iron that comes from meats. However, plant-based iron is a different structure altogether, a different molecule. And the plant-based, the body can prevent, block its absorption. There's no way the body has a clearing of getting rid of any excess iron, so it really has to control it on the way in. And because plants are more natural for us, we have designed our system to block iron from plants, but we don't have that mechanism to block iron from animals. So I'm afraid we're going to have to wean him towards a vegetarian diet or a whole food plant-based diet.
There's
Instead, Triphala. Triphala is research done. It's called Triphala ovale. That is a product which we don't stock, but the ingredients are Triphala and Punarnava. So I would suggest to start him on Triphala as well. You said on the history, so make sure he's not aspirin on any of those blood thinners. Then you can give him Triphala.
there's a thing there from Parry. She says, interesting to know the link regarding insomnia and the various doshas. However, for some, insomnia can become chronic due to their social issues, marital issues. How can they be helped? Thanks. Listen, anything can imbalance your doshas. It's not just your food, and your circumstances can imbalance your doshas. So if you're living in an argumentative environment, or in an environment where you're not valued, or you don't feel that you're using your creativity, all of these things will have an impact on your doshas, especially things like that, like marital issues and different stresses that are in society. They can absolutely have a huge impact on your doshas, as much as food. So all of these things can bring balance or imbalance to you. But it's the same thing. You recognize if it's insomnia, then regardless of what's causing it, it's a vata condition, and we need to address things within the vata condition. And addressing things within the vata condition might not just be related to the foods that you eat, but it might be related to addressing those marital issues, whether that's going for counseling or whatever. So we should be aware that all of those things, if you're having lots of arguments with people, if you're under pressure, under time pressure all the time, those things put your pitta out of balance. So they can be helped by addressing them in the same way, and being aware that they are bringing things out of balance, and doing something about them.
They were asking a question, how long it take to finish all the procedure? And somebody said 2 hours. No, you don't have to spend 2 hours on those procedures. You can easily finish them depends on, in the beginning, it's going to take a little time, but once you master the procedures, 20-30 minutes is enough. Yeah, you just do the oil pulling for 30 seconds to 1 minute. and then you take it out on a paper like a tissue and throw in the bin. Don't spit in the sink, and then rinse with warm water. And you can use sesame oil, because the question what kind of oil, or MP16 nasal drops. So 20 minutes is enough in the day, because then your whole morning is gone doing those procedures. And then plus you're doing TM or other meditation, that's plus add on what time you spend on the TM or meditation, because some of the meditations are 20-minute or 45 minutes. That's your own kind of time that you add into the procedure. So massage and all of that.
Yeah, but if you're getting up early enough now that you have your new routine, and we're all getting up out of bed in cafe time, so we're all out of bed by 6 o'clock. So you're giving yourself extra time. So you can do your, you clean your mouth, you scrape your tongue, you put the oil drops in your nose, you inhale it back, you do your abhyanga, you have your, you can go, when you've done your abhyanga, you can do your asanas, and just, wear a tracksuit or, something rough, because there's going to be oil on it. Then you have your shower to wash it all off. Then you can do your pranayama, start your meditation, and all of that. So just use that extra time wisely if that's what you're doing. So if it does take 2 hours, it does take 2 hours. That's a great way to spend 2 hours, but you don't have to take 2 hours, as Dr. Rajvinder says. And a lot of people wouldn't have that much time. So then you could, but to clean your tongue and scrape your tongue and put oil up your nose, 2 minutes.
2 minutes, really.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
So there's questions coming in about energy, and so energy is such a general thing. It's going to be very, very hard to say, what the cause of the low energy is. There's so many possibilities. But to be low in iron, if guest who asked the question about low in iron, if you're a lady, heavy periods could be an issue. It could be a matter of vitamin B12 or iron absorption. So no harm if you're tired to get it, just some blood tests to be sure there's nothing else going on. And then, are you getting enough rest? Are you under too much stress, or is your vata going out of balance? It's the most likely one. But sorry, we can't be more clear about it than that.
Kira Egan says, just want to say thank you for another informative evening. I gave up smoking in March and never looked back. Feel great and really enjoying long walks and getting fit. That's another thing that's a great curative for anything, is nature. Nature is a great healer. So if there is nature near you, even if you live in the city, there might be a park nearby, or there might be a river nearby, or there might be somewhere where you can go walking. I'm very fortunate where I live. I'm just surrounded by mountains and beaches and all those things, which I take full advantage of for going walks. But nature is a great healer. So Gandhi, the lady who wanted to give up smoking, there's certainly plenty of inspiration for you here to help you give up. But taking walks in nature is a really good thing to do. And if you're ever unstressing and you feel bad and you feel, maybe a little emotional or rough or anything like that, then a walk is a really great way. It doesn't have to be a run, just a walk is a really great way of calming yourself down and connecting back, Where can you train in Ayurveda? That's one for you, Don, maybe.
If you're a practitioner of some description, maybe you could do the European course that's going to happen, and you have all the details of that, Noel.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, if you're medically trained in any way, if you're qualified to give consultations are insured to give consultations in any form of medicine or anything like that, there's a 1-year online course starting in April that's done out of Slovenia, and it was intended that there's 8-day blocks in that course on campus in Slovenia, but the first one has been cancelled because of COVID, and the others will depend on the situation we're in. But the course is going ahead. It is for people that have some form of training. It's a postgraduate course, so you need to have some form of degree or some form of training. I'm planning on doing it myself, actually, and I have a science degree from a long time ago, but I also did a course on Ayurveda in India, in Rishikesh in 2016. Now, it wasn't a big course, but it seems to be big enough that they've let me on this particular course as well. So if you're there, otherwise you got to take a look at something like the Vasant Lad course, the American Vedic Institution. I think there was an MSc you could do in Middlesex University, but I think that's gone.
With the run course. Maharishi Ayurveda run courses.
Yeah, Marishi Ayurveda runs some courses as well. But we met a doctor in London, Rajvinder. He ran some.
Dr. Marufatik, I think it's Ayurveda Academy. I have to look for the name. Yeah, he was the one where Dr. Brennan trained with, and he used to teach in Middlesex University. Dr. Brennan, Dr. Marufatik. What is his institute now? I think it's Ayurveda.com or something. There are few in UK actually. Mm,
College of Ayurveda. College of Ayurveda.
yeah, College of Ayurveda. Yeah, Dr.
Dr.
Marufatik. Yeah.
There's lots of courses you can do if you want to travel to India. Probably not a possibility at the moment, but you know, I mean, what Dr. Rajvinder did and what Dr. Naheed did is a 6-year degree course in Ayurveda. Like, it's a substantial course and they have a BAMS. So I mean, the thing I did in India doesn't give you a BAMS. It's just a diploma from a little institution, but you know, it's not a fraction of what Dr. Rajvinder or Dr. Naheed would have studied. And Dr. Brennan was already a medical doctor and then did further studies in Ayurveda in India and did the MSc in Middlesex University. So there are different levels to everything, and Ayurveda is a huge topic. So you could train in Ayurvedic massage, you could train in Shirodhara to do Shirodharas, you could train in Ayurvedic lifestyle and diet. If you want to encompass the whole thing, then you're going to go and have to do a degree, a 6-year degree. But if you just want to pick out certain things, then you can do that. But what you need to be sure of if you want to go and do that is that you can get insured then in order to treat people. It has to be a substantial enough qualification that you will get insured by some holistic health organization to actually do training. Dr. Brennan was the founding president of the Ayurvedic Practitioners Association in the UK. I mean, I think they have fairly strict criteria about who can join that, you know. But there are, my understanding is there are different levels, Don. Is that correct?
Yes, they would have a practitioner and a sort of associate practitioner, the associate being a therapist who would work under an Ayurvedic trained practitioner. And yeah, the Indian government has their criteria as well for training for adequate recognition of their qualifications. There's a certain level of qualification they would need to have.
It's a fantastic thing to do. If anybody can do it, go and do it, because Ayurveda is the future of medicine as far as I'm concerned. It's the past of medicine and it's the future of medicine. So it's got a very unique position, you know.
And TM is very much an integral part of the profoundest aspect of Ayurveda because of that capacity for the mind to integrate the consciousness aspect, which is most fundamental. And there are questions about the TM technique and the chat line, and it is a specific meditation procedure that is taught one-to-one by a trained TM teacher. So you look it up on tm.ie or
tm-ireland.ie, tm-ireland.org. I'm not sure what the UK address is.
It's the same tm-uk.org.
Okay.
And yes, it is best to do the oil massage before the TM because during the TM your body creates ojas and excretes a little on the skin. So it does give that sort of luster, and best not to wash it off, but very good to do the oil massage first and then meditate. Best time to meditate in Ayurveda? Well, it used to be Brahma Muhurt in the Indian context, which was the hour before
4 o'clock.
before sunrise.
4 a.m.
Drastic in Ireland in the summer and pretty late in the winter. So yeah, that change between the end of Vata time in the afternoon to me is a very good time, 5, 6. So it settles the Vata at that point. And just when you get up first thing in the morning or early on, then to do the meditation.
Jamuna said she go to bed at 2 o'clock and wake up at 10, and she has tried different strategy. This is really, if you are going to follow the nature's rhythm, then 10 to 6 is the ideal time. But slowly try if you can get into that, because 10 o'clock in the night time, 10 to 2 is the pitta time during the day and in the night as well. So if you're awake after 10, because pitta control the brain, so your thinking ability, your ability to do things, it gets kind of awakened. So that's why it's called second wind. So then that's why you're not able to sleep until 2 o'clock then, because again from 2 to 6 is the Vata time, and 6 to 10 is the Kapha time that you learned from the lecture today. So you're actually waking up in the Kapha time. So your body, your metabolism already is very sluggish. So I would say you try to change it, make it your priority.
Yeah, some people say, "Oh, I'm a night owl" and all that. You're not. You're just out of
Mm.
balance. You
You're
know?
likely to be pitta because it's pitta that gets that 10 o'clock surge. But
Yeah.
that pitta is about healing. And the scientific research actually shows that, the vast majority of the deep sleep, and the deep sleep is, the most restorative sleep. It's the one where we heal. And so that majority, 70 to 90%, can occur in those first 4 hours, and it is time dependent. So it supports the Ayurveda concept of that 10 to 2. Now, after 2, the body has changed. And now the whole, having sort of healed, the next thing is to rebuild. So the dreaming comes in, and 70 to 90% of the dreaming will happen in this phase. And that dreaming is where you lay down your memories and integrate the knowledge. And so that's what Ayurveda means by Vata time between 2 and 6. It's a whole aspect of creativity and integration of memory. And so the timing is, from the Western medical scientific point of view, supporting the Ayurveda point of view. Early to bed, early to rise makes you healthy. So,
Wealthy and wise.
yes.
Nita says, are fruit smoothies and fruit bars healthy? And not necessarily. Like, as I said earlier on, if you have a fruit smoothie, you're taking all the sugar out of, you wouldn't eat 6 oranges, but you would eat 1 orange. But you wouldn't take the sugar out of 6 oranges, but you could squeeze 6 oranges, So just, sorry, Don, go ahead.
I think at least the smoothie will have some of the fiber to slow the sugar release. But as you say, the concentration, you're taking 6 oranges instead of 1 will be a bit much.
Yeah.
But the juice is certainly something that I would avoid.
And fruit bars, it depends on what's in them. It depends on what's in them. They could be held together with anything, Listen, the food processing industry is only looking at 2 things: selling you stuff and shelf life, So they're doing anything to make the shelf life of their product. The longer it's on the shelf, the more chance they have of selling it. And they're dressing things up as green and natural and all this sort of stuff. The only way you're going to know is by looking at the ingredients and seeing what's in it,
And Ayurveda say you should never heat the honey. And most of these bars have honey in it, which probably is cooked. So that's another way why you want to avoid them.
Yeah, Ayurveda reveres honey for its qualities, but in equal terms, if honey has been heated above a certain temperature, it says it creates a very sticky, toxic ama in the system. And so we don't heat honey. But with these bars that are held together with honey as a glue kind of thing, the honey in them is going to be heated. In general, the principle would be just avoid processed foods. Just avoid processed foods. That's the best thing you can do. And a fruit bar is a process. Why not have fruit? Or why not have nuts? Just have them that way. Have some almonds, or have some walnuts, or have a Brazil nut, a few Brazil nuts. We don't need to be buying processed foods at all. Just avoid processed foods would be the best tip, really, from an Ayurvedic perspective, I think.
And there's a question about salt, and of course, processed food full of salt. And salt in Ayurveda, in moderation. In moderation. And again, it's going to be Vata, Pitta, Kapha, because it increases Kapha. And it also increases Pitta. So moderation, especially for Kapha. But also, it's said in Ayurveda that it's an excess of salt is aging. But I think the concern about salt from the medical point of view is if someone has blood pressure, they should avoid salt altogether.
Okay, we're getting very close to 9 o'clock here. There's a lovely little comment here that I think we should probably finish off on. It's from Regina McClure to everyone. So she says, I now get up between 6 and 7 a.m. to do all my stuff, and I love it. By 8 a.m., I feel bright and ready to go walk with the dog, life-changing. So there you have it. They're very positive words to end on. So we're going to be back on again next Tuesday. I didn't get too many emails for the Zoom link this evening. I got a few of them. I got a chance to check on 1 or 2 of them, and the links had been sent. So I can tell from MailChimp if someone has received the link or not, and they all have, but again, they're just going into your spam folder or your promotion folder. So take a look around, put noel@ayurveda.ie into your contacts, and then it'll end up in the inbox. We will be doing a special webinar on the 10th of February. I think I mentioned that in the email. Dr. Brennan is doing a special webinar on lifestyle medicine. We made a little video about that today, and we'll send that out in the next day or two. That's a paid webinar, so you have to sign up for it on the website if you want to go to that webinar. And yeah, we're back on again next Tuesday night we're halfway through the course. This is the 4th lesson. As you can see, a huge amount of knowledge there, and we 4 more lessons to go. So by the end of it, you'll have a massive amount of information for improving your health and adding years to your life and life to your years. So unless any of the doctors have anything they'd like to say.
Have a good night's sleep.
Okay, we will do. Everybody start winding down now. Dr. Rajvinder, are you happy enough to?
Yes, you learned a lot today about the mother nature and how to tune it. So with the timings and all. So try to gradually adapt the knowledge and see if you can connect to yourself, because our system, our body's programmed to do the jobs as according to the nature. So when the sun is high in the sky, our digestive system is strong. When sun is going down, digestion is slow, time to rest. So this is like what nature is telling us, and that was the lecture today. So try to understand it, try to understand the timings and see how much you can do, but slowly. Don't get overwhelmed with the knowledge.
Perfect.
And adapt it slowly.
Perfect. You support and respect nature, and nature will support and respect you.
So, the circadian rhythm is coming up a lot now in different research and all of that. So there's a big focus on the circadian rhythm, and that's what Ayurveda already had the knowledge about circadian rhythm, the nature cycle, and that's what we respect because we're part of the nature anyway.
Yeah, we're not separate from it at all. Okay, so I'll put this up on, thanks to the people to remind me that I hadn't been recording. I'll put this up on YouTube tomorrow so you can rewatch it over the weekend, and then we'll all catch up again next Tuesday. So have a fantastic weekend. All those people who want to give up smoking, now is the time to do it, okay? Just use that strong will and just, you know, remember the words that were given there and just stay strong and give those cigarettes up. It'll make a huge change to your life. So namaste, everybody. Thanks a million for coming along, and we will see you all again next Tuesday. Goodbye, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Good night.